Hello and welcome into this week's edition of The Rundown with Caleb and Casey. Caleb Polking here, as always joined by Casey Schischler, and we are back in the Student Innovation Center at Iowa State. If you're watching on YouTube, you can see us back here in the Promised Land. Here's our new camera angle. Hit a little wave.
New fun one over here.
We got Casey doubling up as both producer and co-host today, which is a new role, but he's going to be manning this shiny new camera angle we've got here too. So if you're not watching on YouTube, go do yourself a favor. We appreciate you listening on the podcast, but it'd be great to see our beautiful faces as well, especially with this new camera angle too. Maybe more so just the camera angle than our beautiful faces, but
who says it can't be both? You know?
Why not?
That's what we're here for. But we are back. The audio quality is much better than voice recordings. We made it work for a while, but we're back. This is just a start. A ton of new stuff coming forward. Man, it is great. We are in full gear. Football season is upon us. Week 1 kicks off tonight. Week 0 was last week. It was a pretty good week for us. 2-1 in the picks for me. 3-0 for Caleb Polking. So we're not going to complain about that. But we are in full swing right now.
What was the pick we split on last week?
Sam Houston versus at Western Kentucky. You took the favorite Western Kentucky. Okay. I took the dark shot.
Got it.
And the spread was about
that.
On the odds.
I can respect that, Casey. Yeah. No ambient noise in the background this week, unlike last week when we just had the old voice memos. But always stay true to our roots here, ladies and gentlemen. But we are so back in the studio. And like you teed up, Casey, the Cyclones are 1-0, baby.
Oh, yeah.
But not only are they 1-0, they're 1-0 in the Big 12 and the current leader in the Big 12 conference right now. The Cyclones are in first place. Sole possession of first place, might I add.
Sole possession of first place in the nation, might we add as well.
This is also true. The only team in the country with a ranked win right now. And you know who sits in last in the Big 12 conference?
Kansas State.
Kansas State Wildcats, man. Things you just hate to see. Or love to see.
Love to see.
As you will. But it's week 1 of the college football season. Last week was great. Week 0 typically doesn't just mean much at all when your team's not in it. But it meant so much last week, obviously. But now the college football world is in the full swing of things. We're also 1 week away from the first NFL game of the year. It's just this time of year always brings so much promise, so much joy to all of our lives. And we got off to a great start on Saturday.
Yeah, hopefully it's very telling for what's to come in the future. Cyclones, I'm not going to say cruise to victory because it wasn't easy. You had to fight the conditions in the first half. Both teams did. But at the end of the day, this game showed a lot of signs of hope for this team. And we didn't go into this saying, like we did our freshman year, oh, we might be lucky to win a bowl game or anything. We know that there was talent in this team, but there's still that worry of facing a really good Kansas State team. And I think we proved a lot of different things throughout the game. Yeah,
1,000%. And it was a wild ride. I mean, there was no shortage of gimmicks in that game. Random occurrences. You had some post-game shenanigans too from the Avery Johnson family. They clearly didn't enjoy that loss too much, but yeah, I mean, the Clones win 24-21, and I just don't even know where to start in this game. Like, again, so much that happened. I think the narrative for this season for Iowa State, I won't say it's like changed drastically because I think everybody expected the Clones to be a good team, but there was so much of the how does Iowa State bounce back losing, Jaden Higgins and Jalen Knoll, right? Their defense was not very good last year. Are they going to be better this year? And it's like, one, for starters, I think the defense question, we didn't really question it because as Iowa State fans, we knew that so much of that last year was attributed to a linebacking core that was so hurt. And we'll dive more into that in a second. But they were so good on Saturday, especially those linebackers. And then two, it's kind of funny. We brought in these two transfer wide receivers, Chase Sowell and Xavier Townsend, and it was like, okay, they might not be Higgins and Knoll, but they'll kind of be the next guys up this year. And really didn't see much of them on Saturday at all, but Dominic Overby, Brett Eskelsen. And then really, to me, Casey, and this that goes beyond just the receiver conversation, but the tight ends, that was one of the biggest things that stood out to me on Saturday afternoon last week. So many ways to dissect this game. But I think you just start with looking at the two biggest stats to me in this game, okay? Two biggest ones. One would be Iowa State on fourth down, 3 for 3, right?
Yep.
K-State, 1 for 4. Other biggest stat, Iowa State 1 penalty for 5 yards, K-State 6 penalties for 48 yards. That right there is winning in the margins, right? What Matt Campbell always preaches. And K-State actually outgained Iowa State yardage-wise in this game, but Iowa State got that first down when it mattered most. They didn't give up yards through penalties, and both teams had 2 turnovers. It just Iowa State was the more mature football team in this game, right?
Yeah, I mean, we had the exact same, keys to victory. Those stats that when you look at them after the game, you kind of can go, okay, I think I can take a guess who won if you just show me these 2 stats in the penalty yards and the fourth downs. It also showed an Iowa State team that knew they kind of needed to win. It was a team that knew they had to get aggressive. They couldn't just roll over and let things be, right in the middle, right even. It was a team that knew they had to fight for this victory, and this meant so much more to not only this program, but everything that is built up to getting Iowa State to this point, right? Everyone that has came before. Matt Campbell knows that now he's got to start going. He's got to be aggressive because Iowa State can't just sit at that 7-8 win margin. Mm-hmm. He's got to go for a conference championship. He's got to go get into the playoffs now that it's expanded. He's not just going to sit around, and I think this is the new Matt Campbell we saw.
I would agree. I think that's a great take. And it was I feel like it was so sweet that it was win number 100 for him, right?
Yeah.
And the way that it all played out, and I agree, you almost saw, and I think it's been building for the last few years. Matt Campbell was a pretty conservative coach, I think, for his first 5-6 years here. And I think a little bit to the fault of that 2021 team that severely underachieved preseason expectations. Over the last few years, though, really since our freshman year, you've seen him evolve, and you've seen his staff evolve too.
Yeah.
Right? And one of the biggest testaments of that too is, I think, the play calling on Saturday. Taylor Mauser in the second half called, I think, maybe his best half of football since he took over as the OC at the beginning of last season. Really attacking the K-State defense in so many ways, utilizing the tight ends in a way that, they didn't exactly bunch up the field, but still use them to be able to block really, really efficiently. And then, again, like you said, really went for the jugular on a couple of those fourth downs, and it paid off, right? Instead of kicking the field goal at the end and leaving it to the defense, they went out and won the football game. And it was awesome to watch because it's like, yeah, this is a mature football team and a team that is not going to sit idle. They're going to go out and win football games, not play, not to lose.
Yeah, I think the big thing for me is Mauser emphasized players over plays in that fourth quarter, that second half. He emphasized, okay, I'm going to get Carson Hansen the ball in the fourth quarter to really run down this clock, but not only that, it's a guy I trust with the ball. Abu Salem was very good, but Carson Hansen has been at that next level previously, and he knew he could rely on him. He knew he was going to get the tight ends involved, Bramer, Burkle. He knew those were his best receivers, guys that have returned from last year and knew what to expect. And he knew at the end of the game to give the ball to Rocco Becht to make the decision. A little RPO, the tight end, little slip play. That was absolutely fantastic, reminding us of freshman year Kansas. I'm going to keep harping on that. And
Jared Casey, right?
Yep, Jared Casey, the very mobile Jared Casey from Jason Bean.
Forever the father of the Texas Longhorns.
Forever. And then you think that last fourth down play, giving Rocco Becht the decision, hitting the little screen pass, Hansen almost scores, goes down at the 1-yard line. But they gave Rocco decisions. They let him see the field, a guy that they trusted to be a leader. He came back to stay with this Iowa State team, could have gone to anywhere, right? He was getting looks from Miami, who had an open QB spot before Beck filled in. I'm sure he was getting other Power 2 looks, with the Big Ten and the SEC. He came back to play for Iowa State, and they entrusted him this offense in the fourth quarter to go make decisions while also giving the ball to Hansen, running out the clock, and knowing, hey, time's on our side. Let's take advantage of it.
100%. And I want to sit there for a second on Rocco Becht, because I think, again, you really have to give him his flowers for the result of this game. And I have another stat for you here, okay? So going back to the famous 2023 Snowmageddon game against Kansas State, the first in this 3-game win streak that the Cyclones have against the Wildcats now. Going into that game, Iowa State had lost 9 straight one-score games. 9 straight. And the narrative was Matt Campbell can't win the close one. He can't find a way to finish it out. Iowa State doesn't have the dudes to get the job done, right? Since that game, when the Cyclones won down in Manhattan, they have been 7-1 in one-score games, with the sole loss being that Texas Tech game last year in Ames. That's a remarkable turnaround in that stat. And really that was always the difference, when it came to Iowa State winning, the 7 or 8 games under Matt Campbell versus now you're competing for conference championships. And there's a reason why last year Iowa State was in the Big 12 championship, because they found a way to win those one-score games. And who's been at the center of those games this entire time? Rocco Becht, right? And they're not afraid to put the ball in his hands. They're not afraid to let him make the play. And I just think that really speaks to this turnaround we've seen in kind of the second phase of the Matt Campbell era here, right? And it's like now they're finally, not only are they competing in every game, they're winning the close ones against good ranked teams.
Yeah, and it's not like Rocco Becht had an absolutely outstanding game. I thought he had a very good game. I mean, only 50% completion, 183 yards. His QBR was somehow better than Avery Johnson's, even though you look at it, Avery beats him on basically every stat. But at the end of the game, you think, first half, inclement weather. Very difficult to play in, hard to throw the ball, heavy downpours off and on. It was slick. You could see linemen, running backs, receivers, all these guys kind of slipping up. The secondary, they didn't have to really punch out the ball. As long as you had a hand on it, the receiver wasn't going to catch it. Rocco still found his guys on these short check down routes, got his yards, and when he needed to, he took big shots over top and hit absolutely daggers in the back of the end zone to Overby and Eskildsen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you're right. And going into the game, it was kind of like, Avery Johnson's getting all the hype. I think a lot of people kind of fall into like the big Avery Johnson Lamborghini fallacy. Like, this guy's supposed to be the real deal because K-State paid him all this money, and he's a good quarterback. Yeah. Don't get me wrong. And he played a good game. But at the end of the day, and you're right, better stats than Rocco Becht too, right? At the end of the day, if you're giving me the option between those two quarterbacks, late game situation, either you need a game-winning drive or you need to just get a first down, milk the clock, win the football game, I'm taking Rocco Becht every single day, right? He's the guy who has the clutch hand, right? He's got the ice in his veins to go out and win the football game. Avery Johnson might be more talented at the end of the day, but to me, it's Rocco Becht who has solidified himself as, as the guy who's going to win the football game.
Yeah, he's a leader in the locker room and on the field, and you just see it. I mean, even since our freshman year, you kind of throw away that Iowa game where he looked really rattled, and he threw that big pick six to kind of seal the game for them. Outside of that, his composure and his intensity when he takes the field late in games is incredibly different. I thought Avery Johnson, he was calm, cool, and collected, which is great. That's a fantastic thing to have. He's a very talented player. Rocco Becht was going for the win. You could see it. He walked out there. He was composed, but then on big plays, he was firing his team up, right? He knew how much it meant for them. He was getting everybody up. Everybody was ready to go, pumping up the sidelines when he wasn't out there. It's a true leader in your locker room and on the field, and a guy that rivals Avery Johnson for talent, that goes a long way.
Can we talk really quick about the not 3, not 4, but 5 tight ends that were used in pretty big capacities for all 5 of them on Saturday? That was crazy. And we talked about this. We did the position breakdown a couple weeks ago. We knew these tight ends were going to be good. But I think Saturday showed that they have some incredible depth. And Iowa State is going to use several of them on a game-to-game basis. But it's not going to be, just we're going to put 3 on the line of scrimmage, right? They can split Bramer and Burkle out wide. They can motion Keaton Roscop in and do that thing where he just basically is like it's like the Steve O'Klotz, Jared Russ. Like, I'm just going to pave a way for Rocco Becht to run the QB sneak, run right through the trenches. Like, full speed ahead, just maul somebody, right? They can use Cooper Alexander. They can use Tyler Moore in the same ways they use Ross Kopp. Like, these are versatile tight ends. They're not just guys that are going to line up in the line of scrimmage. They can catch passes. They can block. They can be split out wide. It's just that adds so much to what this team can do this year.
Yeah, they're so dynamic, and you saw it on that goal line score run with Rocco Becht when they had 3 tight ends on the field, and they line them all up on the line of scrimmage, get K-State bunched up, and motion into a spread with no one in the backfield. And these tight ends are so good, K-State has to respect it. They have to ease out of the box. They motion one of them in. I think it was Roskop, and Rocco runs in right down the middle for a touchdown, right? You have to honor these tight ends so much that it opens up Rocco Becht to run the football, right? It opens up draw plays for Hansen and Sama. It opens up just easy, quick catches for these tight ends and let them work afterwards. You have so many more wrinkles you can throw into this playbook with the dynamic and also the dynamic mind of Taylor Mauser.
Absolutely. Defense, I thought, so 2 plays in broken coverage that obviously really hurt. If you eliminate those 2, Iowa State might win this game by multiple scores. Other than that,
The fumble on the 1-yard line too.
Yes, yeah, true. On the pitch. Okay.
Yeah.
Mauser called a great game. That I don't know about the pitch call and the really rainy weather, but second half Mauser was elite. But aside from those 2 broken coverage plays, and that was Carson Van Dinter and Kaijon Cummings-Coleman, 2 young guys that will figure it out, right? They've probably already seen that on film many times this week. I think that's a youthful mistake, and Iowa State's, I think lucky to, when you give up big plays like that, win the game. So you gotta take that for sure. But other than that, I thought the defense played very, very well. These linebackers, we talked about them too before the season so many times. They're deep, and they've got dudes, and they're healthy now, right? Really healthy. Like, seeing Caleb Bacon back flying all over the field made me remember what that guy was like at the end of the 2023 season and what he could have been last year. Like, you can just tell, missing all of last season, and he talked about that in a post-game interview. That took a toll on him mentally, and he's just got so much bottled up right now, ready to just hit some people on the field. Caleb Brzezina did go down at one point, but it sounds like he's healthy. So to get through that game without any injuries on the defense is huge. Dom Orange did Dom Orange things. I was really impressed too with Ikena Ezeagu on the D-line. Couple batted down passes, just making game-winning plays.
Yeah, and also forcing Avery Johnson to get out of the pocket, right?
Yes.
He was forcing Avery Johnson to take longer and make plays, which, yes, we did struggle at times with our secondary, sticking with their receivers, which are very talented. Jace Brown had a fantastic game, so did Garrett Oakley. But forcing these QBs to make decisions is very important, right? Avery Johnson's very good at it. He's good on his feet. He can take off and run. But you get down the road, you get some of these young QBs, right, or QBs that aren't used to the Big 12. Having them make decisions is going to be very different. They're going to throw balls that are going to get intercepted. And speaking of that, I do want to give a shout-out to Marcus Neal Jr. He was fantastic. Defensively, 29 snaps in coverage, 8 yards allowed, 1 pass breakup with an 83.6 grade. I thought he was fantastic, a guy that, I thought was going to be good. Didn't have a lot of knowledge on that, and he came out and he really showed up in this game.
Another thing, too, that I don't think any of us really knew was going on is Jeremiah Cooper moved over to defensive back, which I didn't even really notice during the game, but he is now a corner.
Was he playing that nickel spot?
I think so. Because you had Jontez Williams, Marcus Neal, and then Jeremiah Cooper now there in at that nickel spot. And I think it really is, and now, again, had a bad play. I think that is a testament to how excited they are, how good they feel about this Kaijon Cummings-Coleman, right? And then another guy we haven't mentioned yet is Drew Surges. And he had a big time, he had a huge tackle in the second level to force a fumble from Joe Jackson that K-State, was it Joe or Bo Jackson?
Joe,
okay. Joe Jackson forced that fumble, huge play from him, right? Laid out the hit stick like we do in college football 26. So I think the secondary, again, couple of broken plays, can't have those. Like, if you have that against Iowa, that's not a recipe for success. But, you eliminate that, I'm really excited about this secondary.
Yeah, it's going to take time, and it's nice that we have a little bit of an experience game that we'll talk about in just a minute, that they're going to be put in different situations, but also you can make mistakes and get away with it against South Dakota. You can't make mistakes and get away with it against Iowa, right? Especially a team that we've heard is going to throw the ball more. They're going to be more dynamic on offense. It's not going to be a one-dimensional, we're going to out-physical you, we're going to run the ball. We don't know how much they're going to run the ball and pass the ball, but it's a team that it sounds like is going to do it more than previously. That isn't hard to do, though.
Let's use that as a segue to head into the South Dakota game. Ultimately, just to put a bow on it, I mean, this is a huge win. We talked about it weeks, months in advance. The Ireland game, such a risk-reward situation, right? Like Iowa State, you get to see yourself 1-0 at the top of the Big 12 standings for a month now. Imagine being K-State right now.
Yeah.
That's not fun. And they have the whole Avery Johnson father and son fight after the game. Dylan Edwards got hurt. I don't know if he's out for much longer or what the situation is.
Doubtful for this week.
Is he?
So it sounds like he'll come back after this week, but I don't think that he will play this week. I mean, take a safety precaution if I was him. Avery Johnson can run the football. I thought Joe Jackson ran the football decently well, but Iowa State's D-line and linebackers were just that good. It wasn't really the running back's fault. It was more so just you're playing into the strength of this defense.
100%. So we moved to South Dakota, and the first game at Jack Trice Stadium of the season. We've talked about this game, too, a little bit, being that it is, the beginning of the season for Iowa State is just so hectic with the Ireland game. You're coming off of that. You've got Cy-Hawk in a couple weeks. And sandwiched in the middle of the two is this team from Vermillion, South Dakota, which happens to be a preseason top 5 team in the FCS, as well as has a former Iowa State quarterback in Aiden Bowman who transferred there a couple years ago. On paper, Iowa State should win this game. They should win it comfortably. They're favored by 15.5. But you just can't discredit what could happen in this game. You know what I mean? We've seen Iowa State struggle against the likes of Northern Iowa in the past. Luckily, Northern Iowa, that's different. South Dakota doesn't quite bring that in-state animosity, right? But it's a good team. It's a good FCS team, and people can sit here and clown us for saying that we're talking about, a good FCS team being worried about that, but you're coming off of jet lag. You're coming off of a really, really big win, too, and sometimes that can cause you to kind of be a little bit hungover coming into a game like this. I think this team is mature enough to weather it just fine, but you got to be careful.
Yeah, you can't really talk about winning on paper when you were supposed to lose last week on paper, right? We're going into this week, and it's, on paper we're the favorite, but, on paper last week, K-State was the favorite. They were supposed to beat Iowa State by 3. Iowa State almost beat them by 10 points. Hansen falls down, gets his elbow down at the half-yard line, you kneel it out. Iowa State looked in control most of that game, and they were the better team. South Dakota could do the same thing here, right? You just never know. That's why we play these games. It's a great sport because of that. Aiden Bowman, fantastic. He's a really solid quarterback for them, but it's a team that's going to be a hard-nosed run-first team, which I like. And for me, this allows Iowa State to load up the box, put your linebackers on their running back, force them to pass the ball and say, hey, secondary, we need you to go cover this game. Our linebackers and D-line are going to be really solid. The pressure's on you guys to cover because we're going to put them in 3rd and 8. We're going to put them in 3rd and 7, 2nd and 11 situations, right? That's where we want to get them. So now the secondary isn't going out there and just kind of standing around. Now they've got to cover. You come to the Iowa game. Iowa's going to get in situations of 3rd and 5, 3rd and 6, right? They might get in a 4th and 4 situation and have to go for it. We don't know how the game's going to go. But I like that this is going to force our secondary in one-on-one coverages in situations where they're going to have to play man-to-man, no help over top. You have to go out there and make a play, and you go against a South Dakota team with a whole new receiving room compared to an Iowa team that's continuing to develop and bring in receivers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the area that gives me confidence here is usually when Iowa State struggles in games like this, it's against a mobile quarterback, right, that can dice you up at the second level, can pick up big first downs here and there via scrambling. Aiden Bowman is a pocket passer through and through. So you don't have to worry about that, which gives me a lot of confidence because that is obviously usually an area of concern in games like this. Interestingly, so 15.5 is the point spread. I got to credit them here. So the Williams and Bloom podcast on Cyclone Fanatic, they talked today that I think one of them was talking to a gambling expert that said, had Iowa State not played in this Ireland game, they would be closer to about a 22-point favorite. So they're essentially giving South Dakota a whole touchdown here, being that Iowa State is coming off of that game, which I don't know how to read that. Like I don't know if that's extreme. That seems really I know obviously it's a big deal. That seems kind of extreme to me, but I don't know. I don't know how much they factor into that coming off of that Ireland game. But that goes to show again how much people are really buying into the jet lag, the transition back to Ames being a factor here for the Cyclones.
Yeah, and it is still a very talented South Dakota team. They returned they had 2 1,000-yard rushers last year, and they returned one of them in Charles Pierre Jr. He's going to be solid. Like you said, Aiden Bowman, not a rushing guy. Do you know how many rushing yards he finished with last year?
Let's go 74.
Negative 57. 23 carries, sacked 13 times, which means 10 times he got past the line of scrimmage on a carry, which is interesting. And I'm sure a lot of those are like QB sneaks, 1-yard plays, you know, or scrambles for 2 or 3 yards when coverage breaks down. Negative 57 yards last season, which means me and you had more rushing yards than him.
Yes, we did. We had a lot more rushing yards than he did.
Yeah.
57 more than he did at that.
Yeah, and a whole new receiver group, like I mentioned earlier. Carter Bell, who's fantastic, graduating. Karan Adams to Cal, and their tight end is now on the Steelers practice squad. So they produced a lot of good talent last year, but they're going to have to fill it. They still have some solid guys, like I mentioned, Charles Pierre Jr., their D-line, got 2 transfers from Iowa. Never hurts to do that, and they returned their number 2 tackler in Nate UL.
Yeah, so, I mean, you run through their roster. This is a team that can pose threats on Saturday. But again, I think we're in 2025. I think the early season Matt Campbell lackluster performances, that narrative is pretty much gone at this point, right? With the exception of the Ohio game a couple of years ago, Iowa State's been really good in September for the last 3 or 4 years now. And I think the maturity here to be able, we even heard it like Matt Campbell on his post-game interview on the field, like not even press conference, he ended it by saying, we're going to head back to Ames and get ready for a really good South Dakota team, which is like, I saw a lot of people on Twitter like kind of laughing at that, like, man, you know, dude's a sicko. But that gives me confidence knowing that like he's there on the field after a big win halfway across the world, and he's thinking about, all right, let's get back and let's make sure we're ready for a good South Dakota team. So all that to say, I think, Casey, the goal here is, while it may look a little sloppy on Saturday, I feel like you could see Iowa State kind of condense the playbook a little bit against a team like this. Just survive and don't have any big injuries. You know what I mean? You don't want like a Caleb Bacon injury against North Dakota like happened last year, right? Just get out of here. Don't let anybody get too banged up and get ready for week 2.
Yeah, I will say, though, I would like to see some emphasis on, like, explosive and scoring early because you're going to need that against Iowa. You're going to have to take control of this game right off the bat. Yeah. I would like the playbook open, like, especially first quarter. Like, I want to take shots downfield like we did against North Dakota last year, right? I want a streak or play action or a boot or something like that early on in the game, take a shot, you know, because with a lot of these guys, we don't know, you know, who our explosive guy is going to be. We're needed to take a 30, 40-yard shot downhill. Mm-hmm. Is it Bramer? What play is he going to like on that, right? Is it Soel? Yeah. And how are we going to fit that into our offense? I would like to see a little bit of an emphasis on, hey, we're going to take a shot here, or even if it's like a 2-score game and we're up, hey, we're going to take a shot on 2nd and 8 and just see what happens. You know, we're going to see what we can go to next week, in week 4, in week 7, you know, when you're in Big 12 play. So you're not getting to the Iowa game going, you know, we've ran this in practice against our defense, but we haven't ran it in a game. You know, how are we going to respond?
Good point. And I think you really want to find a way to get Sewell and Townsend more involved this week,
Yeah.
because those are guys that you could very well need next week against Iowa, right? Like, I'm confident in what Overby and Eskilson bring to the table.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be dudes better than we thought, but at the same time, they're still freshmen. Sewell and Townsend have been in a lot of big games before, and if you can have them with a few catches under their belt in Jack Trice Stadium, right, I think that does pay some dividends next week, so that they can kind of go out there, and they've already had, a better game behind them, go out there and dice up that Iowa defense a little bit. So I agree. Open the playbook early on in the game. Lord willing, you've built a comfortable lead in the second half. Once kind of mid third quarter, fourth quarter hits, I could definitely see them just kind of shutting things down. All right, let's not bring in the subs, make sure we're good to go. Don't do anything too crazy here. Get out of there with a win. But yeah, get guys involved early on. Keep on building that confidence heading into next week, and I think they should be fine.
Let's do it.
Alrighty, well, we're good there on the Cyclone talk for today. Should we pick some conference winners?
Let's do it, Caleb.
Sweet. So we're picking the Power 4 conference winners today, as Week 1 is upon us. We can just kind of go back and forth here, each provide our conference winner. Do we want to start with the ACC?
Let's do it. The
Okay.
ACC, unfortunately, I've gone with the favorites, Clemson. Their schedule wasn't incredibly difficult. They return a lot of good production. Cade Klubnik could very well win the Heisman this year. I don't think he will. I have a sleeper that's going to compete for the Heisman, but I think he's going to be one of the best quarterbacks, not only in the ACC, but in the nation. Dabo kind of needs one to go 2 in a row and just say, hey, what I've been doing here at Clemson, it still works. How I utilize the transfer portal, how I, focus on developing, it works. Just trust me. And he kind of gets those, people weren't on his back saying like he's a bad coach or anything, but I feel like there was a narrative starting around him.
Yeah, Casey already told me off the air before the podcast that Dylan Raiola is his sleeper to win the Heisman this year.
Nope.
He's
No
huge on
chance.
Raiola against the Bearcats tonight.
Huge on over interceptions. Dylan Raiola, give me like 2 interceptions and a Cincinnati Bearcats 40-point win, please.
I got Clemson as well. Total agreement with you. Cade Klubnik, Heisman favorite right now. And I agree. I think I know you're not a big Dabo guy at all. I've kind of mixed feelings when it comes to him. I think he's an incredibly proven coach. I think his championship level era has passed him, but I think he still can definitely win an ACC conference that I think is very watered down this year. Not a very good conference at all. A top heavy one at that. Clemson, Miami, kind of the 2 top dogs. Everybody else pretty average at best. But the difference here with Dabo this year than previous years is they finally hit the transfer portal, right?
Yeah.
He finally decided to go out and get some dudes. They returned their top 3 receivers in yardage last year, which is good for Cade Klubnik as well. So I think this will be a high-powered offense. And I just, at the end of the day, I think this will be a good team. I think what helps them, too, is they are playing in a not very good conference this year.
Yeah. Big Ten?
Let's do it.
I'm going to go with Oregon to repeat. It's a team that not a very difficult schedule. Their toughest game is they got to go to Penn State. But before that, it's Montana State and Oklahoma State at home. They go to Northwestern, and they have their rivalry game against Oregon State at home. Then they go to Penn State and have a bye. They can go all out into that Penn State game. You look down the schedule, Indiana's going to be good, but I don't think they're going to give Oregon trouble. Iowa's going to be a good team. They're not going to give Oregon trouble. We don't know what USC is, which is going to be rather interesting. I don't know what to think of that Lincoln Riley team. I think Dan Lanning, even though he's got, Dante Moore, it sounds like he's going to be the quarterback. I think it's going to be a very good team, and he's not going to worry about, hey, Dante Moore, there's a ton of pressure on you. We just went and got one of the top G5 running backs that's not named Ashton Genty, and now he's going to run the ball for you.
Okay. I've got Penn State on my end, which it kind of seems like it's a 3-headed monster between Penn State, Ohio State, and Oregon to win the Big Ten this year. And this to me was a tough pick. I kind of went back and forth for a while. It was kind of between them and Ohio State for me.
Yeah.
Because the narrative for so long has been James Franklin can't get the big one. And it's true. Like, his record against Michigan and Ohio State is not good at all. That's why Penn State has just lagged like one step behind those two schools. And they're not treated as seriously as those two schools are on a year in, year out basis. I think Penn State is completely loading up to go win the whole they want nothing less than the entire college football season this year. They want the national championship, right? Anything less than that. I mean, if they get there, yeah, because what were they, semifinals last year? Is that how far they got?
Yeah, and they lost in the conference championship.
Lost the conference championship, lost to Notre Dame in the semis, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. They want to win the whole thing this year. And I think they have the team to do it. Drew Aller, back at quarterback. I think he's really good. They bring everybody back on their offensive line. Biggest thing to me with this Penn State team is, and not a lot of people are talking about it, at defensive coordinator this year, they have Jim Knowles, the former Ohio State D coordinator who was there last year with that national championship team. So I think this adds a lot to them defensively. Listen, I think Ohio State has the best player in college football in Jeremiah Smith, but I think Penn State has, in my opinion, the best team in the Big Ten, maybe the best in the country. So I got the Nittany Lions. I have James Franklin finally silencing the haters.
And their OC's Andy Kotelnicki, former Kansas
yes.
OC. So it's pretty dynamic.
That guy's good.
My only thing with them was, you play Oregon at home coming off a bye, which is good, but then you got to go to Ohio State, 2 difficult games. Ohio State, you've got Texas, and you've got Michigan and Penn State, And I say that knowing this isn't the Michigan teams we've seen in the past, but the Michigan team of last year still won, right? And there's a little cloud hanging over that national championship, not an asterisk or anything that, they didn't, it was a BCS or it was a fan voted. No, you won the playoff, but you still couldn't beat Michigan. And I think a big thing for them is you got to go to Michigan, you got to go to the Big House this year, and you got to get that victory. I don't know if they're going to do it or not, but I think those two schedules are a lot more difficult and pressure heavy than Oregon has.
Fair.
SEC?
Yes.
I'm going to give it to the favorites right now in Texas, but I am kind of tired of this narrative that Texas is like this all-knowing, all-elite team. Yeah, it's a very good team. It's a really good Texas team, but, it's a team that struggled to win Big 12 championships for what it's worth. I really wanted to go with Alabama. I think DeBoer in year 2 is going to be good. You got to go to Athens, Georgia. You got LSU coming to Tuscaloosa. You've got a really good Oklahoma team coming to Tuscaloosa, and you got to go to Auburn, a team that has a lot to play for. Hugh Freeze might be playing for his job this year. You think about the other big teams. Georgia, you've got Alabama at home. You go to Auburn. You got Ole Miss coming here. And then you've got Texas at home to end the year. And don't overlook that Georgia Tech team. It's a team that hung in there and almost beat some teams. Give me the favorites to go out there and win it in Texas. You got Florida. Oklahoma comes to you, or they go to Dallas. Yeah, that's a neutral site now. Disgusting. You got to play Georgia in Athens, and you've got Texas A&M at home. But it's a game that, in my opinion, or it's a team that, in my opinion, has a lot of talent. The question marks are around a quarterback who is not proven, but I feel like, it's kind of understood what he can be in Arch Manning.
All righty. SEC could be crazy this year.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go with some chaos, as I am picking Diego Pavia in the Vanderbilt. I'm just kidding. But I am going to go with some chaos, because I think this would be a little chaotic. I think Texas is a good play. I just think this conference,
cannibalizes.
I think it does a little bit.
Yeah, that's
because
fair.
Again, SEC, I think is an overrated conference, but it's still full of really good teams. I'm gonna go with LSU to win the league this year.
Okay.
And I got a couple of reasons why. This, first of all, LSU, people forget, they're still kind of one of the ultimate college football powerhouses historically, right? They've won a lot of national championships. You go back to the Nick Saban days when he was there. Les Miles won one too, right? I think he got
Ed
one
Orgeron.
Ed Orgeron did, yes. So, again, projecting some craziness in the SEC this year. This team could very well lose to Clemson week 1. They probably will. It's at Clemson. So there's a very good chance they do. But, again, this is just who wins the SEC, right? That's not an SEC game. You take a look at their schedule first and foremost, and I think they have one of the easier SEC schedules. They don't have to play Georgia. They don't have to play Texas. They don't have to play Tennessee. 3 of the big dogs in the SEC, 2 of them, being Georgia and Texas, could arguably be 1 and 2. So don't have to play any of those teams, right? In addition to that, I'm a big Garrett Nussmeier truther. I think he's going to be one of the best quarterbacks in college football this year. He's a veteran. His stats last year were unbelievable. They went out and spent close to about $20 million on this roster. Like, they loaded up. This team brought in a ton of really, really good transfers. The one thing that I think would hold them back this year, which, again, I still picked them. The one kind of Achilles heel, I think, for them is their head coach, Brian Kelly. You know him very well, being a Notre Dame guy, right? Could never win the big one there. I don't think he is an exceptional coach by any means. I think he's underperformed since he got to LSU with the resources they have down there. But he's on the hot seat. He hears the noise. One of 2 things happens to any coach when you're in that situation. 1, you rally the troops, you get the job done. 2, you crumble, can't deal with it. Once a couple losses start piling up, season's over. I think it's the former for him this year. I think he finds a way with the talent he has in this roster and the easier schedule to rally the troops and go win the whole thing.
Yeah, and he's got Garrett Nussmeier, who might be the other best quarterback in football. The only thing is you're betting on a guy that hasn't won a conference championship since 2009 in the Big East.
Wow. Yeah, that was back when the Big East Conference existed in football. It's a different time.
And he won it with Cincinnati.
Oh, I forgot about that. Because, Notre Dame still would have been an independent, right?
Yep, so he was an independent since 2010. Now
Wow.
He's at LSU. He's never won a Power 5 conference, Caleb. He's been to a national championship. Been to a couple playoffs. He's never won a Power 5 conference, which is pretty interesting to have on your resume.
It is, and which is why this is a chaotic pick, because I don't think Brian Kelly's a great coach by any means, but I think he's good enough with the talent that he has at his disposal this year. And, again, part of this pick is projecting the SEC goes crazy and stuff we don't expect to have happen do happen, and they find a way to kind of catch that open door and win the whole thing.
Yeah. Do we want to speed through some picks here?
Let's do it.
All right. We're going to start off Thursday night game in Kansas City, Nebraska at Cincinnati. You knew it was going to be on there. We all knew it was going to be on there. Caleb, who are you taking in this one?
Casey. You know who I'm taking.
I do know.
Does it need to be said?
Nope.
I think I know who you're taking too. So I don't think we even need to pick this game.
It's on here just so people know.
So people are aware.
What we're
Jake Euling and Chase Rue know who we're picking. Give me the Bearcats, baby. Big 12, baby. Get ready to learn Big 12,
Time
Matt
to
Rule.
make a statement.
Get ready to relearn Big 12, Matt Rule. This is probably his first Big 12 opponent since he was at Baylor, right? Unless he...
I don't think they played one last year.
Would they have...
Off the top of my head.
Because Boston College
College
ACC.
in the bowl game.
Don't think... Oh, Colorado. But
yeah. Wow.
Did that really count?
They don't play Big 12 football.
No, they don't. And, I mean, Cincinnati, do they even count it?
Yeah, they do. Because they're going to win it.
Yes, they are. Get ready to relearn Big 12, buddy.
To Friday now.
Actually, wait. Year one, didn't they play... Year one of Matt Rule, didn't they play TCU and get beat?
Yeah, they did.
Yeah. And then got beat by Colorado, but that was still when they were in the Pac-12. There's so much jumbo. But they did. Matt Rule's first game, they lost to TCU. Right? Are we dreaming here?
He's 1-1 in the Big 12, which means he's got to be 1-2. What does that sound?
I don't know. We've had it a few times now.
Yeah.
Sorry if you, the audience, can hear
I was overlooking it. All right, Friday, another Big 12 game against a Power 2 team. Auburn's got to go to Baylor this year, Caleb. Week 1.
To Waco.
Who do we got?
Give me the Bears. Give me the Bears and a big win against the SEC. Man, if Baylor could beat Auburn, if Cincinnati can beat Nebraska, and if the Clones can beat Iowa next week, That's 3 huge wins. I don't think we should be counting on Oklahoma State to go to Eugene, Oregon, and win. But if that happens, that would be the cherry on top.
Yeah.
But if you get those 3, that's huge for the conference. I'm taking Baylor to win this one too, baby. Let's go.
Let's give me Baylor. It's a Big 12 season. Rewrite the narrative. And how about another Big 12 against a different conference this time? Big 12 ACC. Colorado is at home against Georgia Tech on Friday night.
Okay, so disregard the whole TCU. I don't know why I thought Nebraska played TCU. That didn't happen.
Was it the year before? They played TCU Colorado played TCU.
Yeah, that's what it was. Colorado beat TCU first year of Dion.
That's how forgettable.
And then
Nebraska
beat Nebraska.
is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep, okay. And then went 4-8 that year. Okay. Sorry, could you repeat the game we're picking here?
Georgia Tech goes to Colorado on Friday.
Another Big 12 win. Give me the Buffs here, even though I'm not high on them. I'm just completely showing my Big 12 bias right now.
Yeah.
There's more desire in these picks than there is actual analysis, but I'll take the Buffs here. I'll take Dion and the boys to win the home game against an inferior Georgia Tech team.
Yeah, it's a Georgia Tech team that's got a 36-year-old Haynes King at quarterback, so it'll be interesting to see. Let's head into the big games now. Caleb, roll through these. Number 1, Texas, at number 3, Ohio State.
I'll go with the Buckeyes in the shoe to win this one. Home game, I think, is what really is the prevailing factor here. I think these two teams are pretty evenly matched on the field. Texas, in theory, has the better quarterback. Now that I'm thinking about this will be the first game that what's his name for Ohio State? Julian Sayin is going to start, and it's against maybe the best team in college football this year. We'll see how it shakes out. Tough spot to be in. I'm going to take the Buckeyes, though, at home. I think they're going to keep on riding that high from last year in the national championship and win against the Longhorns. Yeah,
I'm going to split you on this one, take my SEC champion, Texas. It's a statement game from you got to go on the road. It's the new Arch Manning season. That's what you're hearing all these things about. I think this Texas team, you lose a lot to the portal. You lose a little bit to the draft as well. But you reload, you're Texas. Sark knows what he's doing. This would be a huge week 1 and kind of a statement as the number 1 overall team. If you go into the defending national champions house and win it, which, by the way, this should be a 1 versus 2. I don't know what we're doing.
Yeah. Like, the AP poll had one job. How do you not get that done?
Who knows, man? A little bit of a weird one here. Number 8, Alabama goes to Florida State.
That is odd. Florida State coming off of a disastrous year.
Gotta win this year.
This is at Doak Walker Stadium.
Yes.
I'm not high on Alabama right now. The Kalen DeBoer deal, I get, it was year 1 after Saban. Things are different. I just don't know. They're not the Alabama they used to be. They could get back there at some point. I don't think they quite do it this year. But I also can't, in my right mind, just pick a Florida State team that won, 2 games last year?
Yeah.
1 game or 2 games to just magically turn it around against the number 8 team in the nation. So I'm going with the Crimson Tide.
I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to go with the Crimson Tide. It'll be interesting to see if Florida State has turned a new leaf or if things surrounding the Red Solo Cup will continue to spiral downwards.
I just wanted to mention this quick here. I'm scrolling through the list of games in FBS this week, and it's reminding me of one of my favorite times of the year when we get to the beginning of November and you have college basketball games every night, and you've got the craziest matchups between
LIU Florida week 1.
Well, and then you've got some where it's I don't know, Central Connecticut State versus Institute of Technical Sciences in Utah.
Yeah.
We always have that bit at the very beginning of November where we go through our favorite matchups of the week because you've just got these obscure schools. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just made me think of that.
Yeah.
I need to slow down. College football's just starting. Don't need to be anticipating college basketball quite yet.
Another ranked versus ranked matchup in the top 10. LSU, number 9, goes to number 4, Clemson. So your SEC and ACC champions are starting off the season against each other. Who makes a statement, Caleb?
They are. Wow, that's big time. And I mentioned it briefly earlier. I'm taking Clemson in this one. This is at one of the 2 Death Valleys. Brian Kelly made a statement, which he probably shouldn't have made earlier on in the offseason, that said that there's only one Death Valley, and the one they're heading to is a joke. Something along. I'm paraphrasing, but that's bulletin board material. That's like if you're Brian, that's just dumb. I don't know why you would say that. That just fuels the fire for Clemson, both with their players on the field and their fans in the stands. Right? Everybody knows Dabo Swinney too. I'm taking Clemson here, who I think is the better team. I still got LSU, though, winning the SEC because this is, of course, not a conference game. Yeah,
and for that reason, I'm going to flip you. I think LSU, as much as I don't like Brian Kelly, Garrett Nussmeier is going to be really, really good this year. And I think they get the win at Clemson, and Clemson just bounces back in ACC play and kind of breezes through the conference. But give me LSU in week 1 to win. One more ranked matchup to go. Number 6, Notre Dame. Number 10, Miami to round us off. Caleb, who do you got? This is in Miami.
One quick thing, too. This is a great week 1 slate.
Oh, it's so good.
Usually you get to week 1 and it's all exciting, and then you have, maybe one actual really good game. You've got a ton. You've got a couple top 10 games, some more top 25 games. This is great. Notre Dame, Miami, you said, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and that's a Sunday night game.
It is.
I'm gonna take Notre Dame, the away team, here to win this one. I like Marcus Freeman. I'll take Notre Dame in a tough environment down there in Miami.
Yeah, you know who I'm picking. I'm taking Notre Dame, but for a different reason. I alluded to it earlier. Notre Dame has my early Heisman favorite, Jeremiah Love. I think a running back's going to get it done this year. I know Genty should have won it last year. We talked about that. I'm feeling Jeremiah Love. Last year he was fantastic. This year he's coming out for revenge. He's coming out to go all out, to win every game, to win a national championship. And I think along the way, he gets the Heisman too. Give me Notre Dame.
I'm just scrolling through. I'm trying to find. It just won't even show it. I'm trying to find what the betting line is for Texas Tech versus Arkansas Pine Bluff this weekend.
They might not have it.
I
think they stopped doing those big games because you just never know.
Yeah, it's so hectic.
I know ESPN Bet doesn't do them because ESPN doesn't list it.
The line would probably be
50s.
Yeah, something like that, dude. Be crazy. Another great game. We don't need to pick this one, but to cap it off, Monday night, TCU in North Carolina.
I looked at that. That was going to be a pick. It's game 1 of the Belichick era.
It is. That's wild.
Against a TCU team that I'm no longer high on. So
yeah.
You
were last year.
I know.
Okay, good stuff. Shall we move into our 3 for 3 and cap it off?
Let's do it.
Okay, not 3 for 3 to start?
Not 3 for 3 is the Big Ten and SEC propaganda. As we hit the football season, you know what's coming. You know the Big 12 is going to be overlooked. That's why we hit on those games to start off our pick-ems, because the Big 12 needs to win them to kind of make a statement. And I get it's not against the front runners of these conferences, but if your mid-tier teams beat their mid-tier teams, it means a lot. I'm already starting to see my Twitter with, all these multi-bid projections for Big Ten and SEC. And, as the little guys in this fight, it means something to us to go out there and get these wins. And, we need it for our conference.
It's a big week. It's a big couple weeks here. Non-conference games matter a lot in today's day and age. And luckily for the Big 12 this year, it's a risk-reward situation again. But you've got a lot of opportunities to win some of these marquee games against Big Ten and SEC squads. You got to do it. You got to find a way to get the job done. Mike Gundy, if you're listening, if you could go beat Oregon in their house,
that'd be huge.
That'd be awesome, man. That'd be awesome. Hey, what can we say? The last place team in the Big 12 last year who didn't win a game in the conference did beat Arkansas.
They did.
Returning theme for me this week, I actually have 2 for my not 3 for 3. First one, the University of Utah on Twitter, I guess, just decided that they just have influence, just decided to throw themselves into a situation that did not apply to them whatsoever at Utah's football stadium. And we're big Utah haters here on the pod.
Yeah.
At their football stadium, they put up a picture of Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift getting engaged, and the tweet reads, "What can we say? We love love. Congratulations to Taylor and Travis on their engagement. Here's to a long and loving relationship." Nice gesture, but it just does, why?
If Cincinnati did it, it's fine.
That makes sense. Or if the Philadelphia Eagles did it, right, with Taylor Swift being an Eagles fan and whatever, and Jason Kelce. But Utah, why? You do not matter that much.
Nobody likes you outside of your state.
No. How do you just – why?
I don't know.
Okay. Man. My other not 3 for 3, the new FPI which kind of coincides a little bit with Big Ten SEC bias. Iowa State only moved up 2 spots in the FPI to number 31 after this past week. K-State at 21, who Iowa State beat, is still 10 spots ahead of them, which is just weird. But the thing that is worse to me is, did you know 9 of the top 13 teams in the FPI right now are SEC teams?
Oh.
9 of the top 13.
9?
Yes.
How do you find 9 SEC teams that are that good?
By including teams like South Carolina, Florida, and Ole Miss.
All right, they're solid teams.
They're good teams.
They're good teams. I don't know about top 10 teams.
I don't get it. But I do get it because it's an ESPN metric that I think it's pretty easy to say has been skewed towards the SEC.
Yeah. My number 3, Tommy Fleetwood gets his first PGA Tour victory after 163 events. Absolutely elated for him, a guy that deserved it, had a lot of rough ones, but finally gets the victory under his belt. Now he's heading into Ryder Cup play.
Awesome. My number 3, the Omaha Storm Chasers. Got to give them their flowers.
Oh, yeah.
Because unlike Utah, just inserting themselves into a situation that didn't apply to themselves and wasn't even funny, the Storm Chasers inserted themselves into a situation that didn't apply to themselves, but it was funny because they tweeted out the final score of their game last Saturday. They won 23-7. Also, Storm Chasers near and dear to our hearts, being Omaha natives.
Yeah.
And they tweeted, scored more than at K-State football today. Just awesome. That's great.
That was my first
done,
repost
guys.
in like months, too. Like I hadn't reposted anything, I think since like Kansas basketball, and I reposted
Did you wake up on Saturday morning last week thinking you'd retweet the Storm Chasers that day?
No, I did not.
Probably not.
My number 2, do you know Aroldis Chapman hasn't given up a hit since July 23rd? Caleb?
Wow.
11.2 innings and 14 outings, 14 strikeouts, and his ERA is down to 1.04. He's got 1 win and 9 saves in that time frame, which is absolutely insane. And he's doing it in like his 30s.
I was going to say, dude's old.
Yeah.
That's dominant. My number 2, RG3 has been hired as an analyst with Fox, which is big. We're both big RG3 guys. It was a bummer when ESPN let him go. Now he's back in the booth as a game analyst. That's big time.
It's huge. Caleb, let's head over the pond to England. Grimsby Town with the biggest cup upset ever over Manchester United. 2-2 in regular time, 12-11 on penalties in the Carabao Cup, which is a big knockout tournament. It's kind of like March Madness featuring all the different leagues.
Mm-hmm.
Put this in perspective, Grimsby Town is in EFL League 2, which is a 4th-tier English football team. This would be the equivalent of a D3 team going into like an Auburn or an Arkansas and winning in double overtime.
Yeah.
Right? Going into a former powerhouse of the best conference and saying, hey, not anymore. It's our time. You know, think of D3, Iowa Central goes to Auburn and gets
let's use Wartburg.
Wartburg gets it done.
Go Knights.
But absolutely insane thing happening in English soccer.
Let's go. Is March Madness here already?
Dude, I guess so. August Madness.
My number 1, our Hawaii Rainbow Warriors defeat Stanford this past week. But get this, so they won on a game-winning field goal, right?
Yep.
Did you hear the story about the kicker?
Oh, I knew the story, yeah.
Yes. I'm going to botch his name, but Kansei Matsuzawa, he's from Tokyo. He's the one who kicks the game-winning field goal. And he actually, when he was living in Tokyo, taught himself place kicking via watching YouTube videos during moments working as a waiter at a restaurant, and had to overcome some language barriers as well. He even said after the game that he's more nervous to speak English than kick field goals. But incredible story. Learned how to do it via YouTube and went out and won against ACC foe Stanford.
Yep. Andrew Luck's Stanford now, and Frank Reich is over there.
Wow. How about that? All righty. Full podcast today, ladies and gentlemen. Over an hour long. Thank you guys all for tuning in. He's Casey Schischler. I'm Caleb Polking. Thank you all for listening. We'll catch you guys next week for Cy-Hawk Week, baby. Let's go.